Afternoon, everyone. I am so excited to be here with all of you as our members of the Department of Education, as well as our partners from NIET. We are happy to bring you an update on the Louisiana educator and leader, as well as counselor evaluation system for the state of Louisiana. We're bringing these updates from the Office of Teaching and Learning and the Division of Educator Talent and Workforce Development. This improved system is named LEADS, the Louisiana Educator Advancement and Development System. And this name is consistent with the vision for the evaluation system, which is focused on the growth and development of our educators so that we can ultimately improve student achievement. My name is Arthur Jofrion, and I serve as the Deputy Assistant Superintendent of Educator Talent and Workforce Development. And this afternoon, joining me, we have Miss Laurie Pennisson, who is an evaluation specialist with the Department of Education and who has been instrumental in working with our pilot systems as well as the development of the evaluation system. Miss Pennisson, I'll turn it over to you to give some greetings.
Hi, everybody. We're excited to meet with you today to give you some information about our improved evaluation system and help you to prepare for this upcoming transition. I'll turn it over to Rebecca. Oh, Dr. J, sorry.
Yep, Miss Rebecca Stevenson, who is Miss Pennisson's immediate supervisor and serves as the Director of Preparation and Accountability for the Louisiana Department of Education. Miss Stevenson?
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. We are so excited to have teachers here with us today. This is the most exciting part of the work that we're doing is for you all. And I did want to mention, I put in the chat, we are at capacity for our webinar. So we are recording this, we will post it, and we have 2 more opportunities for teachers coming up on the 24th and May 1st.
So the evaluation evolution project actually began with a request from the Teacher Recruitment Retention Task Force, and research was conducted and the field was actually surveyed, and over 8,000 educators from across the state actually responded to the survey. Data from the survey was used along with research to adjust our evaluation system. The new components and processes were then piloted during the 23-24 school year with multiple LEAs as well as charter organizations across the state. And the pilot actually informed the decisions that you're going to see today, including revisions that were made to policy by our BESI board, was approved in March. And so we'll share some of that with you as well. And then I know that you as educators are probably chomping at the bits to see the actual Louisiana Educator Rubric. And we will share that rubric with you at the end of the call via the chat. In response to research and feedback and following an RFP process, the department actually contracted with the National Institute for Excellence in Teaching, which is often referred to as NIET, to assist with strengthening the Louisiana evaluation system, along with developing resources that would actually support professional learning. At this time, I would like to introduce all of you to our NIET Director, Executive Director of Services, and our partner in this work, Ms. Nicole Boland.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's so exciting to be here with you today, and we are also very excited to be partnering with the department on this reimagination of the evaluation system that you will find out through this webinar is really focused on you all and your students and supporting you and supporting your growth. So we are honored to be here and to be a part of this partnership. And thank you for joining us today. I look forward to this webinar and what the future holds.
Thank you so much, Nicole. We're so excited that you're here, and most importantly, that you've been our partner through this work, and will continue to be our partner. Ms. Stevenson, they are requesting that we share the link to the slide deck, and I believe you have, but if you could go ahead and
Yep.
share that again, please.
I'll put that right now.
So the transition to an improved system is actually going to span over the course of 3 years, with a pilot that's currently wrapping up the evaluation learning year, which is the 24-25 school year, followed by full implementation in the 25-26 school year. The new system is actually based on evidence-based practices that enhance teaching and leadership. It's based on fair and transparent processes that include multiple measures, supports self-reflection, and gives teachers a voice in their evaluation. It leads to better feedback for improvement and resources to support individual growth. And it makes stronger connections between individual feedback and opportunities for professional learning. The rubrics that will be used in the evaluation were developed in collaboration with NIET and are based on the NIET Teaching and Learning Standards Rubric and Principal Standards Rubric. The domains that many of you are already familiar with will remain the same. There are only minor changes to the names of some of the indicators. The descriptors have been enhanced to provide some clarity and connection to Louisiana initiatives. And as we like to say, we sort of put a little Tony Chachere's on the rubric. Over the past decade, the Louisiana Department of Education has implemented initiatives designed to support continuous improvement of teaching and learning across our great state. Louisiana, as you all know, has prioritized the adoption and implementation of high-quality instructional materials across the state. The LDOE has also supported districts and schools with implemented 3 proven strategies that enable sustained high-quality teaching and learning across our state. Those 3 practices are the instructional leadership team, teacher collaboration and support, and developing a career pipeline. Louisiana's improved educator evaluation system is going to build on and support these education initiatives. The process and instructional practices evaluation supports will be implemented through the structures of instructional leadership teams and teacher collaboration, and will support the implementation of high-quality instructional materials that have been adopted across the state. The Louisiana Educator Advancement and Development System will provide teachers and leaders with a research-based vision for instructional excellence. It will promote student outcomes, focused assessment of instruction, and it will provide a structure of professional learning opportunities connected to evaluation. So one of the things that you all are familiar with is the development of your professional growth plan. Well, rather than developing that in an arbitrary manner at the beginning of a school year, that professional growth plan is actually going to be based on the observation that is conducted and developed in collaboration with your school leaders based on your refinement area. LEADS is designed to provide clear standards and quality feedback. It's designed to support continuous improvement, to provide differentiated follow-up, and to enable reflection. The LEADS components and processes are aligned and cohesive to support continuous improvement of our educators. So I know that many of you have heard and are familiar with growth mindset. So what I'd like for you to do is think for a minute, what is the difference between a fixed mindset and a growth mindset? As we go through the components and processes of the Louisiana Educator Advancement and Development System, we'd like for you to look for the key features that promote and support a growth mindset. Research from Pete Hall and Alyssa Semerel conclude the more reflective we are, the more effective we are. With a growth mindset, we must engage in these characteristics. We have to all be more reflective. The improved evaluation system supports educators through the evaluation process to ensure self-reflection and growth. And at this time, I am happy to turn the call over to Ms. Laurie Pennisson, who will share some revisions to Bulletin 130 that were approved by our BESE board in March.
Hi, everybody. Now we'll start getting deeper into the educator evaluation system. As Dr. Jofrion mentioned, BESE did approve revisions to Bulletin 130 in March. These revisions are currently on notice of intent, and then they will come off of notice of intent during this summer. So you'll actually find the full Bulletin 130 with revisions later on this summer. One of the things that you will see in Bulletin 130 is that there will be more comprehensive training now for evaluators. Evaluators will attend face-to-face training prior to evaluating. So those that are transitioning to leads during the 24-25 school year will be attending face-to-face training this summer. Training for leader evaluations is a 2-day training. And the training for the Louisiana Educator Evaluation for evaluators or observers is a 3-day face-to-face training. Following this training, evaluators must pass a certification assessment. And then they must pass this assessment every year following. Now, there are trainings, if any of you are mentor or master teachers who are observers and will be attending the training, you may know that there is an option for a 1-day training for systems that are currently using the NIT Teaching and Learning Standards rubric, and systems have the information as to who qualifies for that 1-day training. With this process, we do want to ensure fair and accurate evaluations. So follow-up will be necessary to deepen the understanding around the standards of effectiveness for educators and for leaders. To assist with this calibration, we are going to have monthly calls. We're going to provide rater reliability practices and for norming on the rubric, and there'll be a plan for on-site support in the works. Now, how are we going to ensure this that the evaluations are fair? Well, Bulletin 130 provides for evaluation monitoring. So to ensure that evaluators are really attuned to the new student-centered focus of the rubric, and to ensure that we maintain reliable scoring, the department will analyze the relationship between observation scores and student results. And then additional inter-rater reliability activities and action plans may be needed based on the findings. The State Department does play a role in ensuring that educator evaluation systems are implemented fairly and effectively. And so now we'll kind of look at why. One of the main reasons is that accuracy matters. With a new evaluation system, there's going to be a learning curve, and monitoring will help us to identify any inconsistencies so that we can ensure accurate scores reflect true practices in teaching and to impact our student learning. We also want to ensure fairness for all. back to the other slide, please. Yeah. We also want to ensure fairness for all. We want to prevent biases, and all educators do deserve a fair and accurate assessment. We also want to connect evaluation to student outcomes, because ultimately the goal of evaluation is to improve student learning. So by analyzing the correlations between observation scores and student results, we can identify areas where the evaluation system is working and where adjustments might need to be made. And finally, to support growth, we need accurate evaluations so that educators can get valuable feedback. And this will thus empower educators to improve their instructional practices. Now, we do understand that learning a new rubric takes time, and so our role in monitoring is support. We just want to ensure that evaluations are fair and accurate and lead to improved instruction. So here you can see that we are moving from a 4-point scale to a 5-point scale. The legacy system compass was a 4-point. Now, as we move to the 5-point, you'll notice that in the 3 area is a proficient range. And NIT research does show that consistently teaching at a proficient or 3 level should impact student learning so that they meet 1 year's growth. But because the system is designed to really push our performance, we do outline an exemplary performance. However, keep in mind, most educators are going to live in that proficient range. In this proficient range, like I said, your students are growing as expected. If we are meeting a 4 and a 5, then we would expect that students would be performing above a year's growth. And so if a teacher is proficient, that would be a classroom that I would want my students in. We just have to remember that's moving forward, because some of us may be accustomed to receiving higher scores. Now we're going to dig deeper and look at our components here. You can see some of these components are familiar and some of them are new. For educators, we have a qualitative score and a quantitative score, and observations, like before, is still a part of our qualitative score. What you'll see added here is self-assessment. We spoke earlier to the fact that teachers would have a voice in their evaluation, and self-assessment is where that lives. Teachers will reflect on their lessons and score themselves, and this will count for part of the qualitative score. You'll notice on the quantitative side, that has not changed. We'll still have VAM and SLTs. All right, now let's get a little deeper into the evaluation system. Here you'll see that the rubric will be the Louisiana Educator Evaluation Rubric. We do, as we spoke to earlier, there is enhanced training for evaluators. There's now a self-assessment piece. And we're also talking a bit about follow-up coaching and support that will now be included. You'll notice in a bit also that the professional growth plan is now going to be really aligned to the refinement area determined following the first observation. I do want to note, while we have here that the rubric is the Louisiana Educator Rubric, early childhood teachers, and we'll talk about this in a bit as well, will continue to use class for their observation component as required by Bulletin 140 for accountability. It would be cumbersome to ask them to be observed using 2 different rubrics. And because that one is required for accountability, they will use the class rubric for their observation as well. I do see questions about the number of observations. We're going to get deeper into that as we go along. I do want to point out here, we talked about the monitoring observation scores based on student outcomes. And so you can see here that using data from 5,000 teachers across 9 states, NIT observed a strong and positive correlation between teacher observation scores and classroom value-added scores. So we can conclude that as an educator grows in their proficiency as measured by this observation rubric, student achievement also grows at a similar rate. And so this connection between increased instructional proficiency and student performance is our ultimate goal with our new evaluation tools. We have learned that an educator who's consistently growing and performing in that proficient range will have students meeting expectation of 1 year's growth, and that consistently teaching in a 4 level results in student growth that is 1 standard deviation higher than a year's growth, and consistently teaching in the 5 level results in student growth that is 2 standard deviations above a year's growth. Here you can see a pie chart that shows all the evaluation components in an educator's score. The blue represents the qualitative assessment score, and the green represents the student growth or quantitative score. Each of those two halves are worth 50% when we look at the full evaluation. Now, observations are averaged, and they're going to account for 45%. The self-assessment will account for 5%. VAM 35, student learning targets 15. And when there is no VAM score present, SLTs account for 50%. Here you can see Bulletin 130 requirements for the number of observations for teachers. So the goal of this system is to provide differentiated support for evaluatees. The minimum requirements, again, this is minimum, are that new teachers in the first 3 years of teaching will receive 3 observations. So this is teachers in the first year 0, 1, and 2. For teachers who have 3 years and beyond, their first observation will now be unannounced. And if they score a 3.5, below a 3.5, a second observation will be conducted. And at that point, it would be announced. If the 2 of those observations is less than 2.5, then a third observation will be conducted, and it will also be unannounced. This differentiation will allow administrators to focus attention on new teachers and those most in need, while ensuring that effective teachers still do receive targeted feedback and continue focused on their efforts on growth. Bulletin 130 does still allow systems to designate observers to assist with informing evaluation. So some systems may wish to allow experienced teachers who serve in roles such as instructional coaches, mentor teachers, master teachers, content leaders. They may be designated observers. They also have to attend the evaluation training. They must also pass an assessment prior to observing. So remember, observers may conduct an observation. That's one piece of the full evaluation. The assigned evaluator is the person who will enter final ratings into the data system and finalize the full evaluation. Here you can see the overall domains and indicators of the Louisiana Educator Rubric. This rubric, as I mentioned, will be used for grades K-12 teachers, and there are 4 domains with 23 indicators. Now we'll kind of look at the formatting of the rubric. As stated, there are 4 domains. In this example, when we click, you can see that we are looking at the instruction domain. Each domain consists of indicators, which are identified in the first column of the rubric. Here you can see that the indicator we're looking at is standards and objectives. Standard and objectives is one of the 12 indicators in the instructional domain. As you can see, the orange arrow now is pointing to a descriptor. So there'll be multiple bulleted points that go further to give you a definition of what that indicator would look and sound like. These descriptors provide clear guidance on what is expected within each of the indicators at each level. The LER is based on a scale of 1 to 5. You can see the arrow is pointing at the 3 different performance levels. The rubric is based on a 1 to 5 scale. At the highest level, performance is significantly above or exemplary. And then a 3 is at expectations proficient. And lastly, significantly below or unsatisfactory level 1. The 3 main performance levels are outlined. However, it's important to note that a performance level of 2 or 4 can also be assigned based on the preponderance and quality of evidence from the lesson. Lastly, we want to point out that each of these 3 performance levels have a different meaning. You can see that the orange arrow points to describe that exemplary lesson. You can also notice that the proficiency rates change in terms of the student-centered focus throughout. Here you can see that the rubric does have weighted domains. Instruction, as we mentioned, has 12 indicators, and it is weighted the most heavily at 75%. And then we have planning at 15 and environment and professionalism worth 5%. Observations are going to follow a pop cycle. So prior to an announced observation, the observer conducts a pre-conference with the teacher to ask pertinent background questions, and this is actually where the coaching cycle begins. So they may ask you questions that are aligned to the rubric to probe and assist in preparation for the observation when we have an announced observation. Now, if it's an unannounced observation, there will not be time to have a pre-conference. However, the evaluator will still preview the lesson to gain information in scoring of the planning. After each classroom observation, the teacher has the opportunity to reflect. They'll complete the self-assessment, and then they'll meet for a post-conference where they'll be receiving written feedback from the evaluator. In the post-conference, the evaluator shares a reinforcement area and a refinement area. All observations, whether they are announced or unannounced, do include this post-conference. And the area of refinement will then be reflected in the professional growth plan. So after that first observation is when the professional growth plan would then be developed, and it'll be based around that refinement area. During the observation, the evaluator is going to be scripting, and they'll be capturing information, and they'll be wanting high quality evidence. You as well, when you are doing your self-assessment, will want to use high quality evidence. So here you can see the 5 types of high quality evidence. We have student evidence and teacher evidence. So this is actually what is being said and what is being done. You have visual evidence, task evidence, and then impact evidence. In other words, mastery of the particular lesson's objective. And using high quality evidence allows for more accurate scoring, and it helps remove biases. So this can be done regardless of what observation tool is used. When conducting, as we said, your own self-assessment, you'll also want to use high quality evidence. As we mentioned, the new evaluation for educators does include follow-up coaching and support. It is based on 6 steps. The coaching model is considered a cycle of learning and growth. The PGP or coaching plan will be revisited after every observation, both formal and informal. Important to note, the coaching cycle begins with identifying a student need, and the student need should connect to the teacher's refinement, goal, or objective. There's always a relationship between the teacher actions and the student behaviors. For this process, we have to think about how improvement in that refinement area will positively impact our students. This coaching cycle is adapted from Diane Sweeney and Leanna Harris's book, Student-Centered Coaching, The Moves. The goal of follow-up coaching and support is to help teachers in improving their refinement area and growth. It is an extension of the refinement area and a recommended action from teachers' post-conference plan. It's grounded in a coaching plan that outlines the post-conference recommended action and series of steps. It provides an opportunity for observers to support teachers in applying post-conference feedback. It ensures that the evaluation process is not just a one-time event. Remember, the purpose of our evaluation system is to grow educators. This component of the evaluation system ensures teachers are engaged and supported throughout the cycle for continuous improvement. Bulletin 130 does outline the post-conference and coaching plans. So the post-conference must be conducted within 5 days of an observation. Educators will then engage with their observer or evaluator in that post-conference, and the educator will reflect on their lesson. Following, the evaluator will then share that feedback with the reinforcement and refinement area. Each observation will then result in an identified target area for refinement, as we mentioned, that will be carried over to the professional growth plan. Those plans are individualized based on the refinement area, so no two professional growth plans will look alike. Highly reflective teachers may come up with their own actions during the post-conference. The number of actions and the type of actions might vary based upon the teacher's need or particular refinement area. The individual who supports the educator through follow-up coaching is also not limited to the person who observed. So this could be, the coaching plan could allow for other individuals in the building to assist, such as, mentor teachers or other assistant principals, other people on the campus. Another thing to point out here is that following the post-conference, an informal observation will be conducted at least 2 weeks, but not more than 6 weeks following the post-conference. And it will just be a follow-up to check on that refinement area. The coaching plan is a living document, and it will be revisited after every observation, and it can be adjusted as needed. As mentioned, the Louisiana Educator Rubric is not required for early childhood teachers. They will use the class tool for observations because per Bulletin 140, class is required for accountability. While accountability may only require 2 observations, however, they will have to follow Bulletin 130 for evaluation purposes. So they will still follow new teachers receiving 3, and the scoring will determine how many are used in their evaluation. All other components do apply. So they do still have a coaching plan and informal observations. All right, so now that we've kind of gone over some of the basics, the different components and parts and processes to the evaluation system, I would like you to take a second to write in the chat, how do you feel this evaluation system will support a growth mindset? Yeah, thank you, Lydia. The feedback will help. Yep, constant improvement, reflection, absolutely. Yep, the PGP can be adjusted. I like that, intentional, yes. Personalized, that's right. It is more targeted, that's right. Good. See lots of great things in the chat. You're right. Actionable feedback is provided. That'll help with those challenges. A lot about the reflection, and that's right. The more reflective we are, we can really internalize the standards, and that helps to empower us to grow. Very good. All right, Donna, you want to go ahead and click us to the next slide? We do want to point out a few extra features. There is going to be an evaluation handbook. This handbook is in addition to the rubric. So evaluators have lots of examples about what it should look and sound like in a classroom. And this will be helpful for them as they score. There are also some guidance documents to support how a rubric could be used with individuals who may teach a different type of classroom. Adapted PE teachers who maybe go from school to school, a librarian, an ESL teacher, maybe even someone at an alternative school where they have students that come and go. And so we have guidance documents that will help so that evaluators know how they can use this tool with someone who's not in a traditional classroom setting. Our rubrics also now have Louisiana verbiage, as mentioned earlier, and there will be lots of resources in our professional learning platform. This is where we'll house a training for teachers, and then we'll also have additional resources to assist. All right, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Rebecca as we talk about preparing to transition.
All right, thanks, Lori. There was something that got lost in the chat. We've had a lot of back and forth. I've been trying to watch the chat as we go, but I do want to clarify. There was a comment about announced versus unannounced and informal. The announced and unannounced are staying. The informal is the follow-up from the observation. Think of it as like an informal walkthrough, but it's attached to your PGP and that refinement area from your observation. So it's just that informal piece of that follow-up tied to it. So I just want to make sure that that was clear, because I couldn't go back and find it in the chat with everything. Okay, so preparing to transition to leads. Before I get into this slide, I do want to say we are going to start a newsletter for leads. It's going to be very short, simple, sweet, where you all are going to get the most information that you're going to need as educators. We're really going to focus on you guys and the teachers. We're also going to have other ways that we can support you, but we feel like being able to connect to you all in a direct way straight from us is going to be the most beneficial. As soon as we have that link available, we're going to post it everywhere we can to have you all sign up. But I did want to mention that. So other actions to consider as you're planning throughout the time before we implement is reviewing the Louisiana Educator Rubric once it's published. As soon as I finish talking, I'm going to come and start posting some things in the chat for you all. I'm going to post our Compass library where it's currently living. We are having a website rebrand soon from LDOE. We're going to have a full leads library, but for now we have a section at the top of the Compass library where you're going to find the Louisiana Educator Rubric. You're going to want to begin by reviewing the rubric, looking at all 4 domains to really gain familiarity with this tool. You're also going to want to begin thinking about how can you maximize that self-assessment opportunity and build your own self-reflection practices, like using your lesson plans, recalling of events, what student work was collected and observed during the lesson, along with the rubric to reflect and self-score yourself for that observation. So essentially just making most of the opportunity to truly reflect. A third possible consideration would be to closely review the shifts in student ownership of the learning across the rubric, especially if you're moving over from Compass or another rubric. This is a pretty big shift. So moving from that 1 to the 3 to the 5 and begin reflecting on current practices and how to facilitate the student ownership of learning. And so just take a second. I know throughout this whole presentation, you probably wrote something on a sticky note, or you made a note, or you told someone in the room with you, I really need to do this right now. Or I really need to talk to my administrator about this, or something that you're thinking of that's a next step that's important. So just think through what you feel is your next step as a teacher to transition to leads. And go ahead and throw that in the chat. What is that one next step? This could help other people that are just not sure where to start. Remember to sign up for the newsletter when it becomes available. Yes. Overview the website information. Yeah, that website's going to be live and coming as we get our documents hot off the press and approved. We're going to have, I know especially a lot of you had talked about those non-traditional role guidance. That's going to be posted there too. That's going to be very, very useful for a lot of you. Yeah. Oh, I love what Priscilla said. Being aware of high quality evidence as I'm teaching for the self-reflection portion. That's really great. Comparing it to Compass to see, yes, to see where the difference. Yeah, we did, like Dr. Joe Ferron said, we put some spice into the rubric for those of you that are currently using NIET. So you'll see some of those changes, such as the use of high quality instructional materials, lesson internalization. A lot of the things that you all have been working on are included there. All right. So now I'm gonna hand it over to Lori to briefly discuss the new data platform.
All right, everybody, as you know, our CIS system that we currently enter data in is an antique. And so with our new evaluation system, we are also going to receive a new data platform. So our new data platform is called LESS, our Louisiana Evaluation System. It is a part of a much larger portal called the Louisiana Educator Portal. Certification will also be housed there, and there'll be other parts as well. Our piece, though, is the Louisiana Evaluation System. And so this is a comprehensive system. It's going to hold all the data. It is tied to EdLink, so rosters will populate based on EdLink, and when educators move to another system after a refresh, they'll automatically be moved to the new system along with their evaluation data. You'll enter your self assessments in this data system. Evaluators will enter their observation scores. They'll enter the dates when they do their informal observation. They'll also, and you'll both be able to write on that professional growth plan. And so it's sort of like going to be a one-stop shop. It'll be interactive. Because of this, if you are in a system that currently uses a different data system, we are no longer doing spreadsheet uploads because there's too many data points that need to be entered now. And so we won't be doing the spreadsheet upload, but it'll be nice in the way that you'll be able to see all of your scoring as it gets entered. It'll adjust as more data is entered to show you your most updated score. It'll be easier to keep track and ensure that everything in the data system is accurate, and it'll be helpful for you to ensure that your data is there so that you can renew your certification. We are going to have webinars, forgot to say that, to show you how to work the system. Those are coming. We'll also have like one-pagers, screenshots. So we're gonna be able to show you how to use this system prior to use. But if you are familiar with CIS, it should be similar, but actually easier, more user-friendly. In closing, we do want to talk a little bit about how we'll have continued support during this learning year. As mentioned earlier, they will have a training for teachers in our professional learning platform, also known as Canopy. We're also providing the training to system levels if they would like to do it face-to-face. And we're encouraging systems to review it during teacher collaboration, continuing to take deep dives. We're going to have monthly calls with system leads to really focus in on different parts of evaluation, to dig into the rubric as well. And we're going to have office hours for technical support. In addition, we're working out on-site visits to support the implementation. We are going to have continued refinement during the 24-25 school year. We did mention that there's a handbook for the evaluators to use. It's going to continue to be even more refined and specific to Louisiana. It is a really great tool now, but we're just going to continue throughout the year to catch more examples to add to it. Louisiana specific, I should say. We're going to actually add more to the counselor portion as well. And we're going to beef up our guidance around student learning targets. And then data and feedback throughout the 24-25 school year is going to help make any final adjustments prior to our full implementation in 25-26. We do have here, you can see a quote from one of our pilot systems. Our pilot systems really do feel that this system is supporting their growth and development. Felicia Harris moved from a teacher to a master teacher and in Claiborne, and she states that the rubric really promotes teaching and learning and that it helped to reach all of the students. And that's good because this system is meant to coach teachers and encourage reflection so that teachers can be empowered to help all their students. Finally, as we close, we do have an FAQ linked in the document. All documents can be found in the Compass library. And this will answer lots of questions that you may have as we transition. Now I'm going to turn it over to Rebecca. Do you have any final words?
No, I just want to thank everyone for being here today. This is really exciting to be able to work through. We've worked with our pilot system all year to inform the process. We've surveyed the teachers, we've met with the administrators, and we're just really excited to be able to get this to you all today. So I put the link in the chat of the Compass library where everything is located. So you can find this FAQ that's linked here. You can find the rubrics there. Anything else you need and that we will be posting will be there. So bookmark that page for now until we have our new rebrand, and just keep a lookout for it. And then I'll hand it over to Dr. Jofron to close us out.
Thank you so much to all of you for joining us today. We know that after teaching all day, many of you are tired, have much to do with your own family, as well as things you want to do for tomorrow in the classroom. So we know how valuable your time is, and we appreciate that you chose to spend this time with us. We do have the leads at la.gov that we are encouraging you to ask questions. We will certainly respond as quickly as possible, as well as use those questions to be added to our frequently asked questions. We do look forward to supporting you as we continue to roll this out as we move forward. With next year, nearly 75 to 80 LEAs and charter organizations have opted in fully. And so we will be working with all of you across the state. And thank you all so much, and have a great rest of your day. We will hang around in case any of you have any other questions that you want to put in the chat. We have 7 minutes left of our Zoom time. So feel free to continue to add your questions, and we'll continue to provide answers over the next couple of minutes.